like, oh, this is cool.
Oh, yes. Everybody, welcome to Talking with Teaching Artists with me, Jordan Ordoñez.
Go, Jordan.
Yeah. It's the podcast where I talk to my teaching artist friends. We connect, we learn from each other, and we just shoot the stuff, so to speak. Kelly, I have a joke for you.
Okay, let me hear it.
So wait, did you hear about that fire in the circus?
The fire in the
Did you hear about it?
circus. No.
No?
Wait, is this recent?
Yeah, no, it was intense.
Oh. I like puns, so I'm cool with that. Puns make you do this cringe face, where it either the hand goes on the forehead, it hits the forehead, it makes a smack sound, or you cringe your face. But I like that. I like doing it to people, and I like when people do it to me. So, okay, hopefully we can get some more puns in here.
Yeah.
It'll be punny.
It's very punny. My dad, his accent, whenever he says beach or sheet, like a sheet.
Oh gosh.
Like a sheet of.
Wait, where's he from?
Philippines.
And then so it goes to I.
The sheet of paper, or you go take your beach towel, go to the beach.
Oh.
And all of that. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Kelly, will you just introduce yourself quickly?
Yes. My name is Kelli Forman.
Yes.
Used to be Kelly DeVinson. I grew up Kelly DeVinson.
All right. That's Forman with no E.
No E. And
No
people
E.
always keep adding that in.
I've made that mistake.
And Kelly with an I.
Oh, right.
Not a Y.
Right,
so
right.
I'm just all confusing.
Yeah.
And actually, so my husband's dad is named George.
Oh.
So George Foreman. No joke. Like, we get nice tables when we make reservations in the big cities. I'm not joking. They're like, and then we show up and they're like, oh, you're George.
Oh, that's so funny. There's this whole documentary or biopic or something like
coming
that.
out about
about George Foreman and how that the grill was revolutionary, especially with like new time cooks and new time homeowners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both George Foremans are cool.
Yeah,
they're both cool. But yeah, the other George is a philosophy professor. Retired though,
okay.
Anyway, but yeah, Kelli Forman. I'm from Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, which is, if you've seen the show Ozark, that's where I'm from.
Yes.
They didn't film the majority of it there, but small town type of vibes. But I did grow up dancing. I love dancing. I mainly did ballet, modern, and a little bit of jazz. And then eventually, when a new teacher came into town, got more into hip hop and contemporary and all that. So I grew up being a dancer, but I also played sports. But my mom did take me out of the sports because I was more like in soccer. If I knocked somebody down, I wouldn't concentrate on the ball anymore. I would like go over to the person and pick them up, or just kind of non-very sport-like things. I would more want to take care of people, and I didn't like to be violent. And anyway, my sister was the other. She was so competitive and state champ and all this.
Because I get that same temperament, part of your personality too. So that's why I was really surprised when you got into Chicago footwork, because it's I mean, to me, it's such like a battle focused, aggressive type of dance form.
Right.
That's why it was really interesting to see, because house dance for me, as opposed to like either like hip hop or crump, like it's just more free, and to me it fits my personality a bit more and my hair.
Totally.
So I wonder,
love your hair.
Yeah, what do you
so cool, by the way. Yeah, that's a great question. So I did move to New York and Los Angeles, and I did the professional dancer thing. Then I went to Santa Barbara and got into nonprofit work.
Right.
Went back to school, got my dance degree, which was a whole thing. I was more there
That's
to actually
when you went to
advocate.
Santa Barbara?
Yeah. I was more there to advocate for diversity in higher education spaces than to I still learned a lot, but I learned more from the Black and Chicano Studies department at UCSB, I feel, which I had to take because I dislocated my toe. So I had to start hanging out with the B-boys. And then I went to that department, but I started getting into breaking.
Did you do point and all that?
Oh yeah. When I was younger, 20 plus years of ballet for sure. Wow. Like total ballet status. Oh, wow. Like, but not prima ballerina, but more like that was just the base technique. In LA, I was always hired as the technical dancer on all the gigs, whether it was like backup dancing, X Factor, Glee, did anything. Like it was commercials. I was known as the technical dancer, not as any type of street dance art form. Mm-hmm. But then, I did go to house clubs in New York. I did go to some of my husband's popping battles and stuff in LA. Mm-hmm. But I think I just started hanging out with the B-boys in Santa Barbara. One of them was at the club last night, Anderson Coe. He's with Stance now. He is a videographer. But they, when I had my toes dislocated in a modern class, like they inspired me to just start going more and more in depth to these different dance cultures. So I went to New York to 36 Chambers and Street Style Lab. And every year would go for a month and study with the hip hop and house OGs. First, I showed up in like more like tights and like hair up in a bun type thing. Like I kind of looked like a ballet dancer. I think it was like it was right before we met. I think it might have been around the same time. Okay. But I was starting to go like train more because I kind of had just like basic foundation of these forms. But I think I got into footwork because I was taking class from some of Chicago footwork teachers, a little bit, King Charles,
in New York.
Yeah, there and other places that they were teaching.
And then you met up with them in LA and
yes, yeah. And
how long have you been with the crew now?
It's 5 years.
Wait, 5 years?
Yeah, it's been 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
whoa. That's that pandemic like.
Brain, right? The brain, just like,
Whoa, it's been 5 years.
But basically, like, I liked the vibe of the community and the culture, but also in ballet, Petit Allegro was my favorite part of class.
What does
That's
that mean?
The very fast. It's basically a 160 BPM type of movement. So you do like entrechocad, royale, sisson, like very fast, do beat, boop, 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 with your feet. Right. And I was always like, this is my jam, So when I started doing Chicago footwork, like even in the beginning classes, it was just like, oh, I love this speed. I was also in track. I was one of the fastest girls in my grade, if not the fastest. and then I played soccer, and my dad has big feet, so I got big feet. So I can like move fast. Oh. So I think at first it was more of like, I finally feel like I have a dance style that fits. Breaking doesn't fit with my body. A house is cool, but I need more fire than that. Like I felt like I need more fire.
Oh, interesting.
Popping is a little too earth bendery. It's like what I didn't find a fire dance that like fit my body type. And then like thankfully
you identify closely more with like Fire Nation.
For some reason.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know why. But it just gets
so
you
surprising
going.
To me.
It just gets you going. Yeah, because my personality is like this.
Yeah.
But when I dance, even when it was jazz or anything like that, I always was like trying to put a ton of energy behind it. So
interesting.
Yeah, anyway, so the more that I got into it, and I spoke with King Charles one day at like a session down in Los Angeles, right? Actually, we were for Everybody Dance Now, that nonprofit. We were inviting Crybaby Cozy out from Harlem, right? And he flew into LA a day early, and he was like, Kelli, like, do you want to come down to Los Angeles? Ant and Tal are hosting a practice, like a Chicago footwork practice at the Target parking lot. You want to come down? And I was like, you know what? I took a couple classes. I think I know these guys, like, and it's you, Cry. Like, anywhere you're going, I'm there. Because he was is one of my favorite teachers. I love Cry. So I drove down. Oh, you haven't? Ooh, gotta happen. Okay, so I'm excited. So I drove down, and when I came up to the parking lot, it was like 30 people there, because it was the first day that Charles was back from touring and teaching or something in Japan.
Okay.
So everybody came out, right? I happened to just kind of go up, say hey to some people, but happened to choose someone who was Charles' main student at the time. Her name was Bree. And I was like, can you show me some moves? So she showed me basic running man. And I was just practicing it. And then all of a sudden, I get a tap on the shoulder. Hey, how are you doing? And it was Charles. And I was like, oh, hi. Yeah, I took your class. And, I'm just learning this move. And he's like, oh, wow. Like, looks really good. How long have you been footworking? I was like, oh, this is my first session, And he was like, couldn't believe it, So he taught me some more things. Everybody was so welcoming. But I think what really caught me is like at one point, Charles and I kind of talked about the mission of his crew. He talked about how there's people worldwide, 80 members now worldwide. Everybody's, connected into training in this style and giving respect back to Chicago. And the way he was talking about it just seemed so healthy and holistic. And in my mind was like, and because we were doing this same work, but on a local level and on a kind of a national level, we were trying to build that nationally. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that's like on a global scale. So my mind just was we were on the same wavelength. Then all of a sudden we were like, oh yeah, we should probably be battling now. So then we hopped into the battle that was happening. And I went out there and felt the fire, and that fire is addicting when here's what it is. You grow up as a female in the Midwest, and you're always told to not be angry. And you're told to be polite and nice and sweet. And these are the words. But that's crazy because the human condition is you have anger. Anger is a very healthy, beautiful, transformative energy. Mm-hmm. So when I hopped in and I was encouraged to go crazy, like I kept hearing, Aunt and Tal, go crazy, you know what I mean? Well, I had one move. I was going crazy with that one move. Like Running Man's, like my life depended on it. But there was such boisterous, like, support from both sides, and the fact that Crybaby was there, this incredible pioneer of light feet, and he was also doing his best. Oh. And I know him, right? It was encouraging to have someone else there that I knew and didn't really know exactly what was going on fully, but was just down for it. So on my drive home, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, gosh, that was really impactful. I woke up the next morning and, God spoke to me, or the universe spoke to me. And this doesn't happen like too often, where it feels like a lightning bolt and your whole body is like chills and you start to really breathe fast. This happens to me when I have transformative, life-changing moments. And God was like, you need to text Charles and tell him you want to be in the crew. And I was like, what? It's been a day. Like, no. And I'm a white girl. Like, it's just weird. That'd be weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you're right. I was like talking to myself like, God, you're right. It's like, okay. So I ended up texting Charles. I was like, listen, I know this sounds crazy, but how do I join creation? And he was like, you mean, how do you do more Chicago footwork? Like learn more Chicago footwork? And I'm like, no, I really want to join the crew. And he was like taken aback, He's like, that was very forward after a day.
After a day,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how to explain
even.
it, but like, I really, really feel it. Like something's coming. And he's like, okay, just keep coming around. So I would drive down there, honestly, like, I don't know, like
from Santa Barbara
every week, minimum, one time a week, minimum, it was like, and they invited me to go to Chicago, and I slept on Charles' mom's couch. Yeah. And I saw what it was in its full effect at the reunion, where people come in from all over the world, met the rest of the crew, and it was like, yeah, the rest is just like
is that the one with the blue shirts, all the blue shirts?
Yeah, that one in the studio, the puzzle box. Yeah, so I think it was a mixture of like all these little baby steps that lead up to that. But what footwork teaches you is it's just like krump, battle style. You're transforming not necessarily anger or aggression. I mean, people call it that, but it's also like unshakability.
Mm.
Like you can't shake me.
Unshakability.
Unshakability. I am unshakable. Like you cannot mess with me. You can't mess with my crew. It's some type of pride that feels like holy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel egotistical if you use it right,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not insecure, if you really feel like you've worked hours every day to work up to this place where, and you take some L's and everything, but that's a part of the unshakability. Like it's a part of the growth process.
Yeah, you've paid your dues.
100%. Yeah. So honestly, this dance has allowed me to be okay with having that type of stance, which can be related to anger. But I feel like it's more like umph. I don't know. That's probably like umph is the word. And it's changed my spirit, it's changed my life, and also I moved to India right after I joined the crew. I joined the crew 3 months in. The day, like pretty much the day before I left for India, I joined. Yeah. When I was over there, I needed something that gave me some oomph because that place tried me left and right. We were in like a village. So
I remember.
Yeah. So I was practicing holding on to this, like, and it gave me more oomph. Yeah.
Oh, that gives me a really great insight into kind of what the dance did while you were over there, because I remember speaking to you when you were over there, and you were staying up with us in the middle of the night, and then you couldn't do anything during the day besides dance. You can leave.
Yeah.
Without, because you needed an escort or something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't walk. Yeah, so we were in Uttar Pradesh, in a village outside of Varanasi. My husband was studying with these high level monks, Tibetan, as well as these Sanskrit masters. One of them unfortunately passed while we were there. Like that's how old these people are. They're, but we're in the city. We're in a village outside of the city where people go to die. Varanasi, people go to die there, and be burned on the ghats of the Ganges River. So a lot of times when you would go into the city, you just see dead people everywhere, being taken down to the river. It's a very old school mentality type of area, Uttar Pradesh. Great people, but for women, it's highly dangerous. It's a lot of rape. It's a lot of violence against women. Definitely inequalities, and it's a different culture, right? So I had to always wear kind of something to cover my hair, cover my skin, and then always have Jed with me. But even at night, like when I'm walking with Jed, so one time we were followed by a group of teenage boys, and we had to really rush to get out of, because it's not like anyone's around in a village. So, unfortunately, I was like, I was assaulted, punched on the back of the head by a young boy. I was touched a couple times. It ended up in the hospital a few times. It was a really intense. Varanasi was so intense. And I would basically wake up at 6 a.m., get on calls with y'all, and then I'd have like a 4-hour time span in the middle of the day where everyone's asleep in the U.S. So that's when I would footwork for at least 2 hours a day out of that. I was in basically a very small space, all white room.
Yeah.
If I opened the door the window or went outside, there was like these teenage boys next door that would like come look in and start trying to speak to me, or like really, not cat call, because it's not a cat call over there. It's just like they were really, just invasive of space. So I was really kind of going crazy at one point, talking to myself. I felt like maybe a little imprisoned. But at night at 5 p.m., Jay would come home and we would go to dinner and then come back, and I get on more calls. So yeah, it was a pretty intense time where I did really rely on videos from my teachers some Instagram, dance lessons when there was internet. Because sometimes the electricity would go out often. And yeah, just relying on the feeling that I kept getting when I would do it. And so it was like this brewing type of thing.
Yeah.
That then I think just still sticks with me. Like when I do the dance, I think about those moments because those are tough moments.
Yeah.
And they get embodied in our system. Just like when you get an injury, you feel, you get a little cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like these moments of, toughness. Yeah, like doing laundry out of a bucket. Like that's, like this is some tough.
How long were you there?
Stuff. Yeah, that room, 8 months.
8 months in that room.
9 months. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we decided to move to Dharamshala, and that was and then eventually Delhi, and I met the dance community.
And is that kind of where I remember you doing heel stuff.
Oh yeah.
And footwork stuff.
Changed everything. Yeah. I give my life for community because of that switch right there. Like I'm so glad all that happened. Like the crappy times, and then that moment where I was like, people.
Finally.
Like, I do. Man, I'll do anything for you guys, and I did. I did.
And was there any is there like a chapter of creation over there now?
There is, yeah.
Oh.
So some of those original people that we met, some of the original people that were in the first class I ever taught over there, of heels or footwork, foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, like anytime I did teach at that point, because I was still a new teacher with footwork, I just saved it up to fly out. Boo. Like Boudilla came out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yeah, we got to have somebody from Chicago here. And Boo's so incredible. So yeah, like definitely, I don't know how to explain it, but when you're in a different culture, it's kind of nerve-wracking, but if you're with people that that they care about you and they care about each other, it makes it easy.
What? Will you interweave like when you started teaching?
Yeah.
And all of that. So how did and then where you're at today? When did you start teaching, and like what's your teaching artist story?
Oh, when I started teaching.
Yeah.
When I first started teaching?
Yeah, or just like throughout all of that amazing dance journey, when did the teaching start, and how did that become a part of just your overall journey till now?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I in Missouri, in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. All right. There's a studio in an old kind of abandoned mall shopping area, and it's in the basement. And I remember taking some ballet classes, but we'd have like two teachers, for up until I was like maybe 14. And then I joined another studio, and I just had one teacher. Now this one teacher can't be teaching all these little kids, because her name was Kim Generally. She was only 23 at the time.
I'm sorry, I thought King. I thought you were saying
King. Oh, that would be hilarious. Oh.
Generally. I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
Another pun.
The one teacher that moved from Kansas City to Lake of the Ozarks, her name was Kim, and she opened up a studio.
And her last name was Generally.
Generally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I think it's different now. I gotta look. I forgot. But it was Sylvie, and she got married, and I was in her wedding, and it turned to Generally. So
okay.
Yeah. So I started taking classes from her, but she was the only teacher. So at age 14, she asked me to start teaching these first and second graders ballet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I was so ready for it. You know what I mean? I had already been working. Like, you start working at like 13 in Missouri. And I had babysat and taught dance to those kids. So I was like, let's go. But nothing would have prepared me for 20 kids in one class teaching ballet.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And I will say I've had some really awesome memories of like those spaces, and it was super fun. Like she would mentor me. She would break down how you do it. But I was already one of those very structured young individuals.
Oh, okay.
So it's like no problem for me to like create a lesson plan already at that age.
Yeah.
And I just remember not knowing what to do when a young girl peed her pants in the middle of class.
Yeah, that class management thing is the last thing, especially.
It's like, what do you do? Wait, I still don't know what to do.
Yeah.
What do you do when a kid, you just gotta go, okay, chaos is happening. All the kids are starting to kind of laugh. Okay, let's, go outside, take a water break, grab, gotta clean it up yourself type of thing. Talk to the girl. Don't worry, it happens, just stay in that energy of love. But oh my gosh, at I think about 15 or 16 is when I was teaching that class. And it feels like yesterday, the intensity of that moment of, I don't want her to be embarrassed. And wait, did I not let her go to the bathroom?
Yeah. You were so intense. We gotta go. No bathroom breaks. None.
I was like, did I do that? I think she was just too shy to ask.
Mm-hmm. That means you were creating a space where those kids felt hindered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like.
Mm-hmm. You weren't creating a safe space, Kelly.
I was like, dang. What is wrong with 16-year-old me not knowing these things?
It's funny. And then when you started teaching Chicago footwork.
Oh gosh, so yeah, I mean,
or just sharing, or
right. So I was teaching like ballet, contemporary, and then when that one teacher got pregnant, right? I had to even teach my age. And then I was captain of the dance team at the high school for 2 years. So I was teaching my age, which was tough because sometimes I'd have my best friend's parents calling me and being like, why are you so hard on these girls? And I'm like, do we want to win the competition? Like they need to be at practice on time. They need to do their homework. They need to. So I kind of felt it might have been also because my parents went through a divorce at that time. So it might have been a control thing, but all these things happen for a reason, right?
Yeah.
By 17, I was living by myself and like just, I was highly independent,
Okay. All right, you had moved out right at 18.
Yeah, I just wanted some space and, because divorces are tough, especially when you're emotionally like in love with both your parents and then they're, all of a sudden fighting and, it was a 2-year process. It was a bit tough, but I wouldn't change it. Because if that didn't happen, I would have never moved to New York. So I moved to New York, moved to LA, started to learn how to teach in these different spaces. I learned from master teachers in New York, master teachers, and worked alongside master teachers in
Shout them out.
LA.
Shout them out.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I think the master teachers were incredible at Broadway Dance Center. But I wouldn't say that they're like my mentors on how to teach.
Okay.
My style.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I would take from like Brian Green. There was a Dorit Coppell. She's a ballet teacher. Brian Green is a house teacher. Luam, hip hop. Gosh, I love. She was younger at the time, but Michelle. I don't know if you know Michelle is, but yeah, she dances like with Janet Jackson and stuff. She was like my mentor. Like I wanted to teach like her.
Okay.
I liked how she taught, so I was in all of her classes. But then yeah, when I moved to LA, I just got to kind of work with these people, too. And it's interesting because teaching is close to choreographing, for a gig. And it's a similar energy, but with a different purpose at the end. And it can be a very intense purpose. So like Liz Imperio, Brian Friedman, getting to work with them, Kenny Ortega, top of the top. You know what I mean? And you're sitting there as a young 21-year-old, just your brain's not fully developed. You're just trying to take in, okay, I'm on the Dancing with the Stars set, and I know that I'm being asked of X, Y, and Z, but you can't always at that age live up to what you could at maybe a 30-year-old age, right? But I learned a lot from their patience and their professionalism and their kindness. Hi-hat was another one. So I consider choreographing for a gig a type of teaching.
Right.
I do. I don't think it has to just be in a classroom.
Yeah. So you took some nuggets from those scenarios too.
Definitely.
Yeah. How do you approach sharing, teaching Chicago footwork.
Okay, yeah. So we'll go to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole process too, because when we started creating hip hop curriculum with Everybody Dance Now,
Yeah.
I was talking with Monsell Durden and Tiffany Bong at USC, trying to get their opinion on curriculum and what is hip hop. That's why I started learning from Buddha Stretch and all that.
Mm-hmm.
This idea of sharing a culture that you didn't grow up in.
Yeah.
Whether, whether or not it's cool or not, how you go about it. So teaching didn't just become about a studio type of mentality. It became about people, culture, history, lineage, heritage, and
cultural respect.
Yeah, cultural respect. I made a ton of mistakes, and thankfully people pointed them out.
Right.
And I think that that's a whole different type of approach. So with footwork, Charles, it was a year into me learning footwork, but I was so intense about it. And I was already in the crew.
Because that's when you were in India.
I was in India. Yeah. It was a year into it, and I was like, hey, Charles, there's a studio in Dharamshala, India, and Delhi, India.
After you moved?
Yeah, that wants me to do a class. I don't really want to have them pay for it. Can I do it for free, or can I take some of the funding to fly someone out? And we went through a whole kind of training regimen before that class started on how you would break down the foundation of Chicago footwork, what history, what crew information pass off, and explaining that to the class, like, I'm in a precarious situation. I am a white woman teaching predominantly African American dance style in India. So I just want you guys to know I'm sharing this with you to then connect with Chicago. So that whole breakdown was of mentorship from Charles, and he's very particular about it, which I respected. And so after every class, I get on the phone, talk about it. I would send him videos. He would give me feedback constantly. And then I started to just kind of blow up. Like I was traveling all around.
Yeah.
And again, on my own dime, because I wasn't really taking the money from the classes.
Yeah.
And through that whole process, inspiring that fire.
Yeah. On that, but is the profiting off of it too? That's a big, like, litmus test for me in terms of
100%
non-black teachers.
Yeah. 100%. And I knew all I could do was pass off foundation. Like, even when people would ask me to freestyle, I'd be like, I just want y'all to know, like, I'm not there yet. I'm 2.5, 3 years in, even, at that point. And
what's that? What's when you like qualify it with foundation versus whatever is that next step? What does that mean?
Yeah. So as a studio trained dancer, like, the technique, I can see technique because I've danced since I was 6. I can see technique and break it down and invite people to try it different. But the way that you can freestyle it, your own personal style, your own personal energy, and then you being able to put on the energies of your teachers, all of these things come with mastery. And that comes after 10, 15 years. And as a guest, it might take us longer. So I always just, let people know, like, okay, I'll freestyle, no issue, but I want y'all to please go see my teachers. That was the main thing. And if I wasn't working to have Boo and Charles come over there, I think the whole thing would have felt weird if it was just about me teaching.
Yeah.
But we were all working towards. So keep an eye out because they're coming to Delhi. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was almost like a promotional type tour.
Right.
And I was down
leading up to when they come,
sleep in crappy hotels and eat not so good food and not get paid to make this happen because of what 8 months of doing the dance style did for me. I had a lot to owe it. I didn't care what I had to do to show my gratitude of what it got me through. So when I started teaching it, all I can say is mentorship. You got to have people that you call up and just can talk to for like an hour at a time. about it. And that's what I had. My crew had my back, and our stuff blew up. Like, it started to blow up, like, and it didn't always feel right. It didn't, but
you mean just kind of having your face on the flyers and stuff? Yeah,
definitely didn't always feel right. So when I went in there, I just was trying to be as humble and down to earth and honest as possible about, like, that I can't wait for y'all to meet people from Chicago to have this pass off. So I'm here as like a nice bridge. So you can have some foundation to gain interest.
If I understand that difference between foundation and just teaching Chicago footwork, it's the steps versus the style, and then on the other side it's the style and the culture and the
that's a great question. Okay, so
lifestyle around it, the way that you talk and walk, and
I can talk about it as much as I want.
Yeah.
Right. And I can show the foundation as much as I want. But a master class is an energy class. It's an energy transference class. Master class shouldn't be labeled for anybody who's not holding energy that they can transfer. You know, they can't be master class, 10 years of teaching, like, studio choreography. Like, bro, like, no, it's like you need to be able to pass off like Shakti, but like it's like energy into your system. That's why when you hang around your crew and you're just hanging out, your next rounds, the next time you do rounds, are incredible because you just got energy from your entire crew, especially as a guest. Man, it's an incredible feeling. That's a masterclass to me. Because Charles might go up there and teach the same combo that I just taught, but it's a masterclass because you get the energy from the master.
That's a really good example.
So that's why I always say, combo, like, I can give y'all foundation as much as you want. You might think you have it because you look like you're doing it, but until you take hours with a master teacher, you're not gonna get this thing. You're not. And during the pandemic, I moved. I moved to Phoenix for 3 months. Knocked on Charles' door every day to the point where he was annoyed. He was probably Phoenix annoyed. Now? Yeah, he lives there. Don't. Can you teach me something? Can I take your class? And I would say I wouldn't be anywhere like where I am now about energy wise if it wasn't for those 3 months. And that's something about teaching that people don't understand is the mentorship lifestyle aspect of it too, where you get passed down like the lifestyle of the dance along with the movement, how you eat, how you talk, the pace at which you walk to practice, how you drive in different areas of Chicago, how you drive before, like what you listen to before you go to a footwork session. Like
that's all part of it.
All a part of it. And it totally shows up what you wear, what shoes you wear for sure, what socks you wear. You know, like I wore pants the other day and Charles was like, yeah, I didn't really like your rounds in those pants. You got to figure out some new movements for those particular pants. He's really honest. You know, it's like, okay, got it, no problem.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I feel you. Actually, I felt a little weird doing my skinny jean moves in my baggy pants. Just like that intense of like consideration. But you also have to have like a teacher that wants to do that too. Because some people just want to dance. They don't want to teach.
Can I share some roses and thorns with you
100%.
Around? I think I'm really interested in keeping this thread of like as guests in the dance cultures that we're a part of,
100%.
and then we teach. I'm really interested in keeping that thread. So one of my thorns is that I haven't been able to, at least recently, haven't been able to go out as much.
Oh yeah.
Just and then just be in the house spaces. I haven't been able to go out that much. So I'm feeling a little disconnected. I haven't been able to go to any jams just because life. Just because I got to get up in the morning now, and so Thursday nights is kind of, it's hard. It's tough. Yeah. So that's one of the things that at least when people talk to me about, like, I don't know, or when I share about how I approach being in house spaces, being in hip hop spaces, and taking up a teaching artist role, is you have to be around the people and go out.
Yes.
And so one of the things, I haven't. I mean, I'm hanging around
house people.
Yeah, house people all the time.
You're in a housey house.
Yeah. Like you have the DJ set right outside this door, and
totally.
We're we're planning to produce this house battle in August.
At the end, right.
Yeah, in August. So, but and that's, I think, probably my rose, is that I'm still staying connected to the people. I'm just not going out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's what my rose is, that we're building. I'm still helping to build community around it, because we're trying to go and do like a beginner intermediate style jam.
Great.
Like focusing on just the new people that have just started taking Trey's class and my class and all of that, so we can, give them some opportunity to showcase and to do all of that a month before, leading up to the the house battle in Pilsen. That's my rose and thorn.
Beautiful.
I wonder. Yeah.
Well, I think you know what you need.
Yeah.
At every time, and it's a swing back and forth. At one time, you were probably house clubbing every night.
Yeah.
And now I was
closing things out, and
things go through
everything,
cycles and waves, and you know what you need at different times. So if you're being called back to these spaces, it can be as nourishing as a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
It could be as necessary for your nourishment. So only you know that. Now, is it comfortable? No. When we go to New York every year and we only have 3 hours of sleep for a whole week straight, like, it's like, because you're at the house clubs midnight till 4, it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
But somehow you do it. And but at the same time, is it always necessary for every person? Do I ever judge people for not going to the club? No. But that's how this style was built, on people not sleeping too, which is, it's like, oh gosh.
Yep.
So.
You know what just happened too? The warehouse. Did you see that?
No, what happened?
The warehouse, or the building, got new owners.
Okay.
And so Preservation Chicago is a nonprofit that works around preserving historical things.
Oh, that's such a
historical buildings. And so I reached out to them, and I organized a few letter writing campaigns with the small community that we part. And we were almost all of, like, we went to the hearing, I think it was maybe a couple of weeks ago. We didn't go to the hearing, but there was a hearing where they were there, and they published all of the letters that were sent in from the community. 90% of them were from people that were from our small community. So that was really, really great.
Do you need more letters?
There is one more step.
Okay.
The Max is the guy's name. At Preservation Chicago, he said it's pretty. He's pretty confident that it's gonna get I'm sorry, what is it called? Landmark status.
Dope. Okay.
Landmark status, because
just like hip hop on Sedgwick or whatever it is.
Yeah, totally. Because the biggest hurdle was getting consent from the new owners.
Okay.
Because the idea is there's some sort of, like, you can't do anything to the exterior of the building or something like that, so where it's unrecognizable, something like that. There's some technicalities to it, but the owners is some law firm, and they said, yeah, that's fine.
Wow.
Like, we have consent. And also the commission that does the land, that reviews and assesses landmark status. They saw all of the letters from the community saying, and I wrote like a template of everything, and everyone could just put their personal stuff. send it into this email, and it was really great. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I guess so. You're reminding me like I'm not going out.
Yeah.
But I'm still like, yeah.
You're still a part of it.
Work.
You're definitely doing the work.
Still doing work. Okay.
Everyone is a different puzzle piece.
Yeah.
And they'll fit in where they're supposed to fit in. And those are, the good thing is culture, and that means the people in the culture are constantly changing.
Yeah.
Someone who was ahead of something might not be there anymore. Someone who is the underdog is now a leader. Mm-hmm. The people taking the photos that don't dance, the people,
that's part of it.
Like, making the clothing brands around it, the security guard type people who keep things safe. But just love how, Mike D, who's our, Chicago program director now, at one point was working for the Parks District, did not dance, was the gatekeeper, like let people into a building to use it. Because he was like, why are y'all dancing in the alleyway in this not so safe area? And they were like, we don't have a place to stay. What's a dance studio? Oh, and so he let him into the space. So
he did that before he was part of the crew?
Before he ever danced.
Oh, whoa.
And now look at him. He's one of the dancers for Chance, doing incredible things for the dance community. You can just see it's so healing for him. So we label him gatekeeper, and we see him as Heimdall, the guy who does the gate thing with the sword and lets people into Asgard. He's got the
all-seeing eyes.
And he does, and he always talks about it. He's like, can really read people.
Interesting. He should get the hair and the eyes.
I know, right? Sometimes I look at him and I see it. I see the person. But then other times I'm like, this, it's Mike, but same energy. So, yeah.
Do you have any roses and thorns just about
about dancing?
About the teaching. I would love to keep it in that the same vein that we've been talking, same themes.
Roses and thorns. It is so hard for me to go to a dance studio now, if I'm gonna be honest. Like just a normal dance studio with competition kids from affluent areas. It's honestly hard for me to go. I think I'm deciding that I'll probably not. I've kind of stepped away over time, but I keep trying to go back. And first of all, like,
you don't have any residencies at any studios or
I do teach. And they're incredible kids. Incredible kids. Don't get me wrong. At all. But I'm like, oh man, like once you teach in juvenile halls, and you get kids that are crossing their arms for 45 minutes to eventually start battling each other by the end of the class and encouraging to battle the officers, and everybody's laughing. Once you have that, I'm getting chills thinking about it. How do you go back? It's kind of like, I don't know, the Hobbit story or something. It's
how do you go back to the Shire?
How do you go back to structure when you're used to playing with chaos?
Yeah.
And chaos is just like, people are raw. And I don't like all the status quo energy anymore, I'm realizing. It doesn't fuel my artistry. It doesn't fuel anything in my heart. And with teaching too, in those areas, like I'm told, oh, don't say X, Y, and Z. Don't play this song. Don't do this. We need a dance in 6 weeks. Like,
in the studios, you're saying?
Yeah, not the current studio I'm in, but other studios I've worked with.
Yeah.
It's like the production mentality and the way that kids treat dance as only a competition. It's just like, it's hard to exist sometimes, because I see it as like a healing art. Dance is a healing art. It's a spiritual. I see it as my religion. It's a spiritual practice. And what's kind of crazy, I don't tell, well, now people are going to know. Maybe it's good to know. Like the spiritual practice I was practicing for years before I met Creation Global was called Creation Stage. Oh. Yeah, in Buddhism. Okay. In our lineage, which is the same lineage as the Dalai Lama. So for me, that was another sign too. But anyway, I think my thorn is like, I'm working with that because I love these kids in these studios, but I don't like the expectations that are there around a capitalist type of mentality approach to the arts, which is just so production and money based. So, but then I'm trying to weigh out like balancing that with the wildness and rawness of pure creative energy, too, because you can't. It's like too extreme. So that's why I do like working in classes in more schools, after school programs, community centers.
Exactly.
So my rose is I just got to go yesterday to the Boys and Girls Club on the South Side, and Mike taught a class. He taught 2 classes, one for the kids, one for the teens, and super incredible energy. He provided them structure and energetic structure in a space that's not normally that, but there was no other expectation besides them having fun and connecting and doing their best, giving 100%. For me, that's a nice balance right there. So at the very end of the teen group, some of the young ladies had footwork before, and we all freestyled, and some of the teachers and the organizers even got in there and did some footwork. Jasmine was there. She was like blown away by the energy. It was just this cipher of pure energy, and kids who were not smiling and arms were crossed at the beginning were beaming. And that's my rose, man. I just think bringing dance back to the people in a way that feels healing, versus always productive based, I understand that too, is something that gets me going. But as an artist and as a teacher, as a teaching artist, you totally know that you have to exist in both spaces. You just like might choose to be in one more than the other. Yeah.
But both spaces meaning like the
productive type capitalist approach to dance, gigs, choreography, competitions, music production, all this, like all the back end work that we do with the nonprofit, structure. Yeah. And then the other thing where it's like, just have, you're in a battle now. Yep, you're battling somebody. Oh, there's history here. Oh, your crewmates are behind you. Bam, or when you're teaching, like, oh, okay, this person just said this to this person. Okay, there's some pain there, and you're working through it, and it's healing, but it's tough. It's spontaneous. Yeah, like I think I love the spontaneity of of some of those community based classes. Yeah.
You know what I just connected. Maybe you've thought about this before. You mentioned that one of the things that you love about that the Chicago footwork, the dance form, is that it gives you, or maybe you personify, or like an unshakability.
Yes.
And when you are sharing that with the kids, you are showing them and teaching them.
Oh yeah, I have those students repeat things.
Yeah,
it's like mantras. Like, look at your friend and say, "You got this."
Yeah.
Look at me and say, "I got this. I got." Especially when they're not having confidence. Movement that gives them power. Voice that gives them power. And not only that, but in love, taking care of one another and verbally speaking out the expectations of that love. Hey, we're in a frequency of love. I don't say it like that, but like that's the vibe. Hey, we're a community, you guys. Like we're going to support each other in this class. And activities around that, dances around that. I just try to, any class I teach, whether it's heels, by the way, when I teach heels, it's about divine feminine energy.
Ooh, you should meet my friend. Did you meet Gary?
Gary? No.
Gary Moore? He's...
Okay, I would like to talk to
Gary Moore.
He always talks
about the divine feminine and his dark phoenix energy. And
oh, wow.
He's, he used to be in the House of Ninja, and he's one of my good friends, too.
My husband's in that house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I should know Gery then.
And he's really helped me with my newfound queerness too.
Oh,
Did I tell
beautiful.
You that? No. Yeah. Oh.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm bisexual.
That's amazing.
And I told my parents, told my friends, told my partner, and everything. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad.
It's great. There's a little flag behind you.
Let's go. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
Yeah.
It's great.
This is Jordan's 1 minute of final thoughts, and his time starts now.
Let's see. So, Kelli, I want to say thank you and rave about you for inspiring me to be as culturally respectful and to treat dance, specifically Black dance, as my religion, like what you said today. It's done so much for me, finding my identity, finding myself, finding my confidence, finding my freedom, and that the way you inspire me, the way that you teach and move through the dance spaces that you are a part of, just to treat it as sacred. I remember so many things that you say about the power of the cipher and the circle, and you teaching in a circle and how there's no hierarchy. You talked about how light feet and that culture is saving people in Harlem, and that's why you treat it so sacredly, and you shouldn't just read it. Like, all of that, your story about how Chicago footwork inspired you in India, and how it's a religion and it's sacred and all of that. How much time do I have left?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Was I supposed to count down? I just did 5.
Oh, you're supposed to say it's okay.
You got 60 plus seconds. How about
cool.
that? You're the coach. Host of the show, so you can have as much as you want. All right.
This is Kelli Forman with an I and no E's. 1 minute final thoughts. Time starts now.
Okay. Yeah, so we're just talking about this the other day, that a butterfly has to break out of its cocoon. And if you take it out of the cocoon, you help it out, it can't fly, it can't use its wings, because the strength that it needs to break out of the cocoon is the strength that allows it to fly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't assist or yank people out of their problems. All you can do is say give, love, and support. But that also goes for yourself, knowing that anytime that there's that shakeability, like, you just go, I'm unshakable, you break through it so that you're able to fly. So I was just thinking about that with your teaching career, with your dance career, with anything that you're doing in your life. And also the way that we're approaching dance now, especially with Chicago footwork, I see it as a beautiful multicultural movement, a front towards peace and unity, love and having fun.
5 seconds. What else?
And being able to connect through the music and the spirit of dance. I have so much more to say, but that's mainly butterflies and respect to the culture that allowed me to learn this dance form, Chicago footwork, awesome. And be able to pass it off. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Nice. Kelli, thank you so much.
Yes.
For sharing your story, and for letting me connect with that part of you, because I saw myself in your journey.
Oh yeah.
And inspired me to think a little bit more about mine as well.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm excited that we were able to talk on some of these things,
nice.
Yeah.